Welcome to Brave Science. Today we're going to talk more about alchemy, and specifically we're going to go over the story of Cadmus in Ovid's Metamorphoses and think about a alchemical interpretation of the story. Let's get started. Now, in addition to those four colors we talked about, blackening, whitening, yellowing, reddening, there are four elements that are associated with those four stages. Fire is associated with blackening, water is associated with whitening, air with yellowing, and red, or earth, with reddening. And so, for a modern audience, it might be more appropriate to say plasma is associated with blackening, liquid with whitening, gas with yellowing, and solid with reddening. This is important because when we go over the story of Cadmus, we want to look not only for those colors, we want to also look for elements associated with those colors in alchemy. Now, let's go into the story. Cadmus is the brother of Europa. Remember Europa? We talked about her in the last alchemy video. Well, Europa's been missing for a while, and her father, the king, tells Cadmus, go and find your sister, and don't come back until you found her. Well, Cadmus doesn't even start the quest because he reasons, how can I find something that the gods take? Because Jupiter, Zeus, took Europa. So he just takes his attendants, he leaves, and he goes to the oracle of Apollo for advice. She is found in a cave, and he asks, where am I to go? What am I to do? He receives his answer. Apollo, through the oracle in the Metamorphosis, tells Cadmus, when you exit the cave, there will be a cow. You are to follow this cow, wherever it leads, and where it lies down, that will be the site of the city you will build and be the founder of. So, Cadmus leaves the cave. Sure enough, there's the cow. He follows the cow. Eventually, the cow lays down, and this is it. This is his land, given to him by the gods. Wonderful. So he tells his attendants to go find some water so that he can offer a libation to the gods. Of Cadmus go, and they actually find water. However, at this site where they fetch water, there is a great big dragon, and the dragon is disturbed by the attendants, and so the dragon kills the attendants. Well, they're taking a long time, and Cadmus wonders where they are, so he goes to find them, and sure enough, he finds them. And he sees their dead bodies, he sees the dragon, and he of course gets angry, and he seeks to avenge them, so he slays the dragon. After this, Athena shows up, and she tells Cadmus to take the bloody teeth of the dragon and to sow them into the earth, just like you would seeds. He does this, he obeys. And after he's done this, an army rises up from the ground. Now we can start talking about the alchemical interpretation of Cadmus and the dragon. Those four stages, blackening, whitening, yellowing, reddening, where are they in the story? Well, when Cadmus enters the cave, that's blackening. A cave is dark. When he meets with the oracle, that's fire, because there are writings that say that when the spirit of Apollo comes upon an oracle and they prophesy, that there is a warming sensation. So that fits. Whitening and water. Well, that would be when the servants of Cadmus go to fetch the water at the spring, where they meet the dragon.
For stage 3, yellowing, Ovid makes it very clear. He says that when Cadmus goes looking for his servants, says that the sun was at the highest point. Okay, the sun, that's yellow, and that's light imagery. He then says that Cadmus is wearing a lion pelt, more yellow imagery. He has a glittering sword of iron, glittering. That's light imagery. So that is the yellowing scene. And what's interesting is that just like in the Europa story, stage 3, it seems to be the divine intervention scene. Here I come to save the day. So Mercury, Hermes, intervenes and saves Europa in stage 3, the bright son of Maya. Then here, Cadmus shows up and avenges his servants. And then lastly, for reddening and earth, well, Athena tells him to take the bloody red teeth, red, and sow them into the earth. And earth is associated with the reddening phase. It all fits. But more than that, the phoenix in medieval alchemical traditions was a symbol for the philosopher's stone, because one of the stones, the one that makes gold, is red. And the phoenix is red. And just like how the phoenix is reborn from the ashes, it rises up, that sort of imagery is associated with the philosopher's stone. And so then it's interesting that these bloody red teeth, he sows them and an army rises from the ground, right? Phoenix rises from the ashes. For me, it's not a coincidence. This is just really, really interesting. See, they came to life, just like the phoenix came to life. The Furies, which chased Europa, see, they came to life. They rose from the blood of Uranus. It fits. Now, what could the dragon represent? Well, Ovid says that the dragon is sacred to Mars. Isaac Newton was able to show in his alchemy that Mars is iron. So, if this dragon is sacred to Mars, I assume that it has something to do with iron. That's just my guess. Now, Ovid gives details about the dragon that could help us to figure out what element, scientifically, the dragon is. First of all, its appearance. The dragon is said to be green with like a golden plume. Okay, I thought green and gold. And then I thought of, in alchemy, of course, the green lion eating the sun. I don't know if there is a connection to that. I haven't investigated much into that, but I thought green and iron. Is there such a thing as green iron? Well, sure enough, there is. There are different kinds of green iron. And then I thought about how the dragon behaves. Ovid says that it hisses violently, and poisonous fumes just pour out of its mouth. And, like venomous froth is in its mouth. I thought, that sounds like a very violent chemical reaction. That sounds like a very poetic way of just describing a very violent chemical reaction. So something having to do with some kind of green iron. And there's like this hissing sound, and there's poisonous fumes, and it could probably damage your lungs, and that's what it reminds me of. I think that the dragon is green vitriol. And here's why. Green vitriol is just another way of describing iron 2 sulfate. And iron 2 sulfate is green iron. But what else is that it has sulfur in it, and sulfur is yellow. Do you remember how Ovid described the dragon? It was green with a golden plume. Green, yellow, gold. Iron 2 sulfate. It's green and it's got sulfur in it, which is yellow. Well, remember that stage 1 for the great work, blackening, you blacken with fire your ingredients. Well, when you use pyrolysis on iron 2 sulfate, when you burn it, you get sulfuric acid. And acid is a liquid. Remember? Blackening, fire, whitening, liquid. See, we've used fire and now we have a liquid. The acid, the sulfuric acid. And sulfuric acid is really powerful. That's like the the violent serpent hissing with the poisonous fumes. It fits. Now, for Cadmus is interesting because I'm pretty sure he would have to represent pyrite because, first of all, he's yellow. We know that the element's got to be yellow because of the sun and because of, he has the pelt of a lion, but it says glittering iron. I thought, can iron be yellow? Pyrite has iron in it and it glitters. It's fool's gold, okay? It might not be pyrite. There could be other candidates, but there's one, iron 2 disulfide, I believe. That's yellow as well, but it doesn't glitter. You know what I'm saying? See, Ovid said glittering iron. If you had to choose between iron 2 disulfide and pyrite, you would say, nah, pyrite glitters. It's the shinier of the two. If I ever get my hands on some pyrite and some sulfuric acid, I will definitely try this out.
So, this is Brave Science, telling you to take no one's word for it and be brave.